All right. Welcome those watching outside of the Discord. Today we'll be going over an Alpha Sharks overview, and we will be doing another giveaway as well. This one's going to be inside the Alpha Sharks Discord, and we're going to be going over any questions, that anybody has, in particular about the actual platform itself. So we're going to give it a few minutes to let some people jump in, and we'll get started. All right. Welcome those watching outside of the Discord. We're going to be doing an overview of the Sharks tool today. As you can see, we're actually on the trending page of Alpha Sharks itself. And one interesting thing that we do like to go over is going over multiple time frames of our trending page. What this is going to give us is going to give us an idea of the actual demand that's coming in for the day. So personally, what I like to do, I like coming into the 24-hour time frame, and actually going into looking at a few different metrics. So one of the main metrics I'm looking at, again, is going to be volume. Volume is going to tell me what the actual demand is at that actual point in time. So on this 24-hour time frame, we're looking at multiple things. Right here, we're going to be filtered by actual sales that are coming through. So first initial metric that we're looking at is sales, but one thing I like to look at is volume over sales, because you can have 10,000 sales, but if the floor is 0.0001, it really doesn't matter to me. Something like this with triple digit ETH value is going to mean a lot more to me than actual sales. So let's actually jump into sales and see what we have going on for the day. Right here we have Nilolings with 595 ETH volume traded, which is definitely significant compared to the next few projects that are right beneath it. You can see it pretty much takes out all the other projects here based on volume alone. So we can see that this project here is definitely something that's in demand, at least on the 24-hour time frame. So one we definitely want to keep an eye on if we start seeing that in smaller time frames when we start actually going into that. So let's kind of see what else we have going on. Lumens here is triple digit ETH volume traded, just not as much as this down market ducks or Nilolings. So something to keep an eye on as well, but just saying that there's not as much demand as there actually was on this actual time frame. So if we happen to see this on a smaller time frame, it could be potentially in play, as opposed to the ones that we're already looking at that have the demand that have already came in. So let's kind of keep scrolling down just to see if there's any more triple digit ETH volume traded. The art pass, this also is something to look at, as well as we have crazy spooks on mic. If you can also take a look at the unique holder percentage here. If you're looking at that, you're going to be able to see that we have 78% unique holder ratio, which is pretty crazy. And also having an NBC of 14.8% is something that we're definitely keeping an eye on as well. This is, I think, the second highest ETH volume traded I've seen on the day, so we're definitely going to want to be looking at this as well if we start seeing this on smaller time frames. So let's actually do that. Let's go into smaller time frames. Look at Genuine Undead sneaking down here with the most volume traded, third most volume traded on the day. So Genuine Undead's one to keep an eye on as well. So let's actually jump into something smaller, like a 1 hour time frame. And again, we're going to pretty much do the same thing when we're jumping over into smaller time frames, because all we're doing is changing the time frame and seeing the difference in demand that's coming in at that time. So again, let's kind of look at the top projects and see what's kind of reassessing itself. So Art Pass was definitely one that we saw on the 24-hour, one to keep an eye on. Notice 177 ETH volume traded on the 1 hour. That's pretty massive volume compared to everything else that it's trading against. So let's actually go down and see, is there anything double digit? We have Beans with 21 ETH volume traded. One to keep an eye on with a 60 MB CP. next blue chip probability. So I believe they had news today, so this is why we're starting to see some sales coming in on the beans. Let's see, what else do we got? Let's go into something smaller, like a 15-minute. Okay, and pretty much doing the same breakdown and seeing what's quote-unquote normal for this 15-minute time frame that we're looking at. Right here, we're seeing that Yoga Pepe's with 11 ETH volume traded in the last 15 minutes. Definitely something to keep an eye on, because notice everything else is kind of under 5 ETH volume traded, except Art Pass and Beans, the ones that we're looking at on bigger time frames. So looks like we kind of have the ones that we're going to be looking at: Yoga Pepe's, Art Pass, Beans. So a few different projects that we actually have going on. Let me see if there were any questions. Okay. Yes, we're going to go over that MBCP part right now. So that first portion that we kind of just went over is going to be pretty much a breakdown of how to look for projects that are kind of in play, as opposed to looking at projects that are kind of not in play at the moment. And we kind of landed on this Yoga Pepe's because there was so many transactions on there, and it looks like it's kind of a live play right now. So let's actually kind of break down the project once we actually get into this view itself. So one thing I like to do personally is, let's erase all this stuff. I like to break the stat line into kind of different portions. So I like combining both of these two metrics together with owner and supply. This is actually going to give us the unique holder ratio that we're actually going to see on the trending page. And again, seeing something over 50% ideally is a good indication or a higher probability for sell walls to kind of be a little thinner at this point, because the more owners to supply ideally means more one token holders at that point. So ideally, in a perfect world, if it was 1-to-1, where there was a one owner for every supply owned, there would only be one person with each NFT. In that case, we would indicate that on a seller's perspective, it's a lot harder to let go of one of something if you only have one of something. And in the case that everybody would have that same perspective, it would kind of be a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. In the case that you start getting lower owner to supply ratio, this is where you're going to indicate you're going to start getting people with a lot more tokens or a lot more NFTs at that point. And let's just think about that on a seller perspective as well. If multiple people have multiple NFTs, we're talking 10 plus NFTs, 5 plus NFTs, and floor price starts to rise, it's probably a lot more likely for holders to actually de-risk at that point. And not only are they looking to de-risk, but people with multiple tokens are also looking to list at that point as well, meaning excess supply that's actually coming into the project. So that's definitely something that we're going to want to be looking at, and seeing a high owner ratio here is definitely a decent sign for thinner sell walls to kind of get through. So owner supply ratio right here is one to take an eye on. Next, you're going to see royalty up top, seeing that it's actually 10%. Next portion here is we get questions about this indicator a lot, NBCP. NBCP is going to be next blue chip probability, and basically how that's calculated is it takes into account blue chip projects that we consider actual blue chips, and it takes into account the amount of wallets and the amount of NFTs that they are actually holding of this NFT that we're actually looking at. So it basically takes a mean of the wallets of every single project that we consider that are inside of this actual NFT and give it a percentage of this NBCP. And ideally, the higher the number means the higher the amount of blue chip projects that are inside of this NFT itself. So the higher the number ideally means the more eyes that are potentially on this project. The lower the number means the less blue chip projects that are actually inside of this project, hence giving it a lower next blue chip probability. Um, so I hope that breakdown kind of helps some people out. And we'll go into some projects where we'll actually go a little deeper into their NBCP if we got some time today to show you guys the difference that this number itself can make on the whole project. Next portion you're going to have here is going to be average mint, again just indicating the average mint that we actually have of the project itself. The next portion I like to break up is listings. Listings is a very key metric that we should always have a solid indication of. And listings is going to be linked to a few different places here. So we have listings that are going to be directly linked to this main chart on the bottom right hand side. You're going to see that you're going to see this orange line kind of go through. That's going to be actual listings of the project. So notice right here it's 178 listings. If I hover over it, it should be just about the same. So we're kind of updating that live. So listings is again one of the major indicators that we're going to want to keep an eye on at this point. I also like to kind of key it to total supply, because one of the things that we do like to see on our summary page, listing percentage. So notice right here 202 are listed, so it's going to be about 20% of the actual project supply itself. So keeping that towards 15, under 10% is a very key metric that we try to kind of break down as well. Again, this would indicate that we have thinner walls to kind of get through at that point. So this is very key to kind of look at. Next, you're going to have the floor. 1 hour cancels is going to be your delistings. You guys can see that on the right hand side. If we actually change this to delistings, everything that's kind of highlighted should pop up on here as well. And let's go down to the next portion, 24-hour volume. Again, we kind of seen this already through the trending page that we did, but just giving us an overall metric on the stat bar itself. Then you have this trio of sales transactions that are going through, and this is a cool little pop-up that we get with 1 day sales, 1 hour sales, and last 10 minutes. So if you guys notice, there's going to be little I guess icons next to the numbers of transactions that have actually happened, and it's going to give an indication of two things. If you see something that's going to be green, it's going to indicate that on this time frame, so this particular one, 1 day sales, it's going to tell us that we're actually above, we're trading above the last number on this actual time frame. So we're trading more than we did on the last day sale, which probably would make sense because it doesn't have any last day sales. But if we go into the 1 hour, this would indicate us the same thing. We have more sales in the last hour than we did the previous, and again, this was probably out within the last hour, so it doesn't have that that data. But when we go into 10 minutes, we can see we've been out for more than 20 minutes. So notice the icon portion here. It's saying that the amount of sales have gone up 54% within the last 10 minutes that we're trading. So it's again a solid indication of just giving us a nice portion of demand that's actually coming in just on a different metric. And we can also toggle that and customize that here as well. So let's say you wanted the last 15 minutes, the last 5 minutes, and last 1 minute sale. You can have that portion just having that right here on the top left of your chart, just to see again how strong the actual demand is coming in at that point. So yeah, that's going to be that breakdown for that stat bar. And we had a question regarding the logic portion here. And I think this will be a good project to kind of do it on, as they look like they're revealed and it looks like there's rank variety. So let's actually go over that. So if we actually go below the stat bar, looking at our filters, this is going to give us a good indication of pretty much how to look for, I guess, the type of play that you're trying to look for. So if you're looking to potentially snipe under a potential price, if you're looking to get a particular rarity, if you're looking to get a particular token spread of some point, you can do that all within this filter tab. And the really neat one that we get access to is the traits. So whenever the metadata is actually revealed and we have full rank variety, we're going to get access to filtering by trait. And this should be accessible instantly. And once you pop up plus traits, let's say we're looking for, let's say, headwear. And let's say we're looking for nothing but the rare headwears. So let's do everything under 4%. So let's say we're looking for anything under 4%. These are all the ones that are indicating that have under 4% of the actual headwear. Again, indicating this could be potentially rare. And right here, we can see our listings actually changed because we're now actually filtering for the rare traits that we're looking for. Notice if I actually happen to take this off, our listings and our trades and delistings actually change as well. And again, you can add multiple traits in here as well. So let's say you're looking for particular headwears and you're looking for a particular let's say background as well. Let's say you're looking for some with any of these backgrounds plus these headwears. You can apply that as well, and you can see that that's actually going to change the indication of listings and the amount of trades and delistings as well. In the case that you're looking for NFTs with either of these traits, so let's say you're looking for if they have this headwear or this background. Right now we're searching for the and. We're actually, we can swap that over and we can see that this is now going to indicate all listings with each headwear plus the background that we're potentially looking for. And you notice that our listings actually go way down because we're looking for very specific NFTs. If we change that to or, again, giving us the indication that it can have either of any of these traits that we toggled, we're going to get a lot more results that way. So that's going to toggle your and or function. And apply, again, it's just going to apply the actual filters that we actually have going on, and reset is going to reset this to the default actual display, so we have no filters going on at all. Yeah, this is a really helpful tool on something like reveals that we're kind of going over, or yeah, usually reveals is a great indication for using this trait sniping filter, because you can sit here and let's say you know the actual background of the project itself, and let's say you know particularly there's an effect or there's a particular background or there's a particular body set that does something very rare. This is where you can take advantage of the people who actually have um, multiple NFTs at this point, because again, sometimes at the very moment that these are revealing, people are looking to de-risk and get their money back. And if they drop something that's very rare, you can just literally have this posted up and filtering every single thing that's coming in. And if that rare item actually pops up, you can come here and actually snipe that by just sitting and waiting for that listing to actually go up. So really cool way to kind of sit and trade snipe, especially on something like a reveal or something again where we're getting lots more demand coming in for some reason. Again, usually reveals are a good example of that. Um, yeah, let me see if there's any questions. Let's see any questions. Kind of wanted to open up the floor to you guys. Jin, can you make offers on specific traits? Yes. So let's say you wanted to do it on this one, or let's do it on Alpha Sharks. That might be a little easier. So if we actually go into the bidding portion, stream machine. Was this the last one I did? Yes. All right, so let's delete that. So yeah, you actually can bid on specific traits. So what you'd have to do is take the contract, input that contract address into the bidding portion, and again, come into here for traits. And let's say you're looking for shark tokens above, let's say 15. And let's say you want tokens 1 through 1,000. Let's say that's exactly what we're looking for. And again, right here you can toggle if you want the bid to go on items that are only on sale or that are not listed as well. So you can toggle that here. The bidding strategy, you're going to have two different portions. You're going to have a fixed bid, which is going to give us a solid static WETH offer. So let's say I put in a 0.1 offer. That's a static amount that we're going to be kind of playing with. That's not going to move. The dynamic bid, on the other hand, is going to move because it's a percentage of the floor. So let's say I do 25% of the floor. This amount can change because, again, we're changing with the actual floor percentage. So depending on what type of trade you're kind of trying to go for, if you're looking for like a dip buying potential, or if you're looking for just shooting a low ball offer, you can kind of toggle that in between. And right between right underneath that, you're going to have the loop function. You can toggle that on or off. And again, the loop is going to pretty much solidify how many times this is actually going to get submitted. So you can loop it for however many days, hours, minutes, keep that toggled on or toggled off. Stop price, so you can pretty much toggle it to stop sending the offer if, let's say, you go over 1 ETH and you don't want to kind of send in those offers anymore. You can kind of set a limit to that. Expiration, again, you can set your time to do that as well. Let's do like 0.05. And here, if you go into the next portion, you can see all of the ones that we're looking at that actually fall under the criteria that we're looking for. So you can go in there, submit, and there's 205 possibilities. I have to go in here, start, and actually approve those bids. So that's actually how you're going to do that. Good question, Jen. Crazy Spooks, how can you outplay someone with a gas fee if you want to buy one but you lose on priority? That's a great question. So one thing I like to look at if you're, I guess, trying to outgas somebody, um, depends on what project you're looking at, but ideally, let's say you're trying to do that on something that has volume. So let's say you're trying to do that on something like Yoga Pepe's. One thing I do want to definitely go over is these icons down here. We're gonna have three different icons. We're gonna have the little gas pump, which is going to indicate gas range that people are using inside of the project that we're looking at. The next portion is going to be the priority fee that people are using with the gas that we're actually seeing right next to it. And then the right hand portion is going to be amount of ETH traded within the transactions that we're looking at here on the right hand side. So we can see 2.11 ETH has been traded by or transacted by 15 people making 23 transactions. And this is something that we definitely want to look at if you're looking to, again, try to get a rare of some sort. Depends how bad you really want that or how in demand the project actually is. So notice the gas for Yoga Pepe's and the priority for Yoga Pepe's is not the same as, let's say, Art Pass or a Pater Club. They're completely different, and this is why I like looking at this portion, because this gives us each individualized breakdown for each trader that is actually trading the project itself. So we can see the gas ranges from 44 to 100 right now. The priority is from 1.26 to 60. So if you absolutely wanted to outgas every single person, you'd want to set your priority to the highest range and set your gas to the highest range as well, to absolutely solidify that you're going to get that. If you get that or not is a completely different question, but I mean, utilizing nodes and stuff can be something very beneficial to this as well. But yeah, that's one of the ways I'd be looking at looking to outplay or outgas people. I'd be looking at these metrics in particular, because each individual project is going to have different demand and different gas and priority settings that are being set. So it's pretty much an individualized question. Jin, I see another Yoga Pepe's down lower on the list. What is that? Oh, good question. That's a great question. I don't think anybody's asked that yet. So what he's talking about is this. We have one transacting up here. Notice the portion I'm pointing at, though, the transactions that are happening. And then he's seeing this right here. Notice these oops, now they're moving. These transactions here are actually completed. They keep bouncing around, but if you guys can follow along, these are going to be transactions that are in progress, right? These are ones that are not completed as of yet. We have people that are actually buying these up, but the transactions have yet to complete. When you get down here, this is going to show us that those transactions are completed, and we should see that effect on the actual chart itself, meaning that this transaction has officially went through. So if we actually click on that hyperlink, we should be able to see exactly what was going on there and see that that transaction actually happened. So that's a great question, because I don't think anybody's got that down yet. Let's see if there's any other questions. Mainmatic just joined, so I apologize. It's been answered already. Is it possible to use different wallets for purchases within View, or only the wallet you're connected with? Yeah, you're able to change that. If you go into the tools, the settings portion up here, if you go change to tools, you should be able to utilize that inside of a different wallet, like a burner wallet, if you're trying to do something like that. But yeah, good question as well. Let's see. What we got going on here? The Bears. But yeah, the floor is kind of open to anybody who has any questions. If you guys can unmute your mics, you guys can text in the Educator chat. Definitely want to get your guys' insight. We went over MACD last week, which was something really interesting, and I'm getting a lot of questions on that still, which is definitely it's one I think we should be kind of going over a little more in depth. I don't think one class or one session enough is to, I don't think it's enough to kind of solidify and completely understand itself. We had a question last night regarding the MACD, and I think if you guys scroll up in the Educator chat, there was kind of a live breakdown I did with something that was running at night. I think it was Alpha Cats or something like that. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked those out or haven't checked those out, I would definitely at least take a look at them, because they're pretty much my live thoughts on the actual chart itself. And that was on a 1-minute chart, and me watching that live. And just having my thoughts written in, again, in that live moment, thinking what's happening and what the data is actually telling me. So if you guys get the chance, I would definitely break down those screenshots and just look at kind of what we do here, kind of what we talk about all the time, looking at volume, looking at the amount of listings that we're seeing, looking at our trend lines. And now we have something else to kind of look at, which is our MACD. So let's kind of jump into a little, I guess, exercise I kind of wanted to do with you guys. Yes, can you explain how to set up the MACD? Yeah, for sure. So one of the things you guys want to do when you guys jump into Alpha Sharks, let's say you jump into something that's actually moving. Right now I'm on Buddha Bears Official. If you go on to the official page, initially you'll be popped up on the Alpha Sharks expert view. This view is solid to utilize during first mint out stage, and being able to see the P&L change for people, because as buyers of NFTs, we want to be buying kind of into the fear, ideally, if we're looking for a push, at least on secondary plays. And this here is literally giving us the breakdown of who's winning and who's losing. So this is a very awesome kind of breakdown that we have. But when we start getting into longer time frames, I like looking at candlesticks a little more. They just give us a better breakdown of the overall story that's actually going on. So what you're going to want to do is click the right-hand portion where it says Trading View. You're going to click on that. Your chart initially won't look like this. You'll have to change some settings that we'll kind of go over as well. But ideally, right now, colors and stuff won't be the same, but I'm gonna kind of give you the overall breakdown. Ideally, your pop-up should look something like this. Let me change it. Oops, let me change it to the default colors so nobody gets tossed around. So initially, your chart should look something like this. Probably, again, not the same background color or anything like that, but you guys kind of get the concept. One thing I like to do personally, I like to move volume in its own little section, because as you can see, if I start to zoom in, my candlesticks start to kind of get covered up, and I'm not a big fan of that. So what we like to do here is go to the right hand 3 dots where you get the more portion, and you can move this to a new pane below, or you can move it to a new pane above. Personally, I just like it having it below. And now you can see that there's 2 different panes. So you have price action and you have your actual indicator. And how I'm doing that is just double clicking on whatever portion that I'm looking at. And let's say you wanted volume bigger, like half the size of the screen, you can adjust that as well. So let's say I like that there. Cool. I have my volume up and my price action up. Awesome. Next thing I'm going to want to do is going to be jumping into the indicators tab on the top left, and you're going to jump into MACD, and you'll see that it'll put it in its own pane as well, and you'll see that it's actually popped up with a histogram, and that's usually how it's set out of the box. Yeah, that's how you're going to pop that up into your charts, and you can see if the histogram's too much for you, you can turn that off just to see the initial crossings is kind of what we're looking for. Brain V, yeah, that happens sometimes. I think that happens to me sometimes as well. If you just refresh, you should get it to pop up. Kind of annoying, I know, but we're trying to get that fixed as well. Yeah, the MACD is a very, very key indicator because, again, for those who were not at the last session or last sessions, MACD is calculating, it's just calculating a moving average of what's actually happening. And basically what that is just price action that's happening over a certain amount of time. And when we're getting the faster moving average to cross over the slower, so faster is going to be the blue one, slower is going to be the orange. When we get blue crossing over the orange, that's when we can start to see that buyers are actually in control. Meaning that there's actual momentum coming in from the buyers at this point. And this should make sense to us, right? Because let's kind of break this down. What's kind of happening right here at this point with our volume? Just on a total breakdown, let's say we don't even know what the MACD is actually doing. What's actually happening here? Look at our volume over time until we get the crossing of the MACD. Our volume is actually starting to kick in, but look at the time right here, 18:30, and look at the timing of our listings at that 30 point as well. Can somebody tell me why price action here rose on that particular movement? This is not random that we're seeing, guys. This is not random price action movements at all. This happened because we're sitting at potential supports, and you can draw that with, where's our horizontal line at? Right here. We're coming down to a potential support where we have top zone, bottom zone, and we have momentum now coming into our favor. That is telling us a few different things. We're coming into a support. We have buyers coming in, buying this thing up. We have momentum of buyers in control, and we have listings going straight down at that point. This right here, guys, is a buying opportunity. Again, we're seeing it, what was this, 15-20 minutes late, but this is the ideal setup that you're kind of looking for, especially utilizing the MACD with this portion, because again, it's not, if the MACD crosses and it's an instant buy. That's definitely not what we're saying here, because notice what it did here. It crossed here, but yeah, price action reacted, but really we really didn't do anything. We're just ranging kind of back and forth here, and you can see we're getting multiple crosses at that point. But the difference with this one here that we're seeing is the addition of all the other statistics that we're looking at. So we had a bottoming support down here. We had a trend line showing us that we had support down here. We had volume showing us that we were decreasing and starting to push past that now. We're getting more volume than we've seen within the last 2 hours. We're seeing volume starting to come in, and this one's probably the giveaway right here, is the amount of delistings. The amount of listings actually going down at this point is way more significant because again, we have more demand that we're coming in within the last 2 hours, plus the amount of listings are decreasing, meaning the circulation of the total supply is actually going down. That's just a star setup for pretty much telling us to take it long at that point. We see we're coming up to kind of testing this top trend line zone, but notice what's actually happening with our volume. Our volume is not backing that up, and we can see that in our MACD as well. Our MACD is starting to curl up top right here. If we actually zoom in just a little bit, doesn't mean it can't continue up here, but what that's saying is that our buyers here are starting to lose the steam, or they're starting to potentially take profits at this point, which would make sense, right? Because we just pushed 100%. And again, going back to the amount of token holders, if you had 10 plus tokens at the bottom and your position just went up 100%, it's probably very likely that you're going to sell some off up top, right? The crazy spooks, would that be time to sell? It would be potentially time to see what listings are going to do and who's going to take control there, right? Because somebody has to take control. Either sellers come in and start selling it off because they want to get out of their position, they want to de-risk themselves, or buyers start coming in, buying it up and holding this last high that we're looking at to see if we can use it as potential support now. So we're kind of in a very odd range right now, but one thing that is going to help us right here is we know we're running into a topping zone potentially, right? So one thing we're definitely going to want to see is volume either starting to come in, plus the correlation with listings going down, or we start to see what's actually happening right now, less volume coming in and listings actually starting to curl back up to the upside. That would give us a retrace back down and just put us kind of in a bigger range at this point. So again, what the MACD is telling us is just telling us that the amount of the momentum and kind of who's in control at that point. But again, it by itself is not going to be a very great indicator. You putting this in conjunction with listings and the amount of volume that's coming in, that is going to help you out a ton. Again, just trading off of, oh, it crossed here, I should buy. You're going to lose a lot of money. So that's what I'm trying to show you guys. It's not just, oh, it crossed and it's an instant buy. No, it crossed, but what is everything else kind of doing at that point as well? What are my listings doing? What's again, how's the demand or how's the volume coming in? How's that looking within the last hour or so that we're kind of looking at? It's kind of, again, a combination of things that is kind of happening, and we're starting to see that topping zone, at least for now. So we're trying to see if the buyers are going to start coming in to buy it back up to retest the top zone, or again, we're going to see if we're going to start seeing people with 10 plus tokens starting to list their NFTs. But that's where I guess time will tell, right? Legend. Maybe I missed that part, but how can I change the price scale on the right side of the trading view to fit? Oh, that's a great question. There's actually a command for it. I'm gonna botch it. I don't know the command. Is it Command A? Nope, that's the wrong one. Command R? Nope. Option R? Oh, there you go. I'm on Mac, so if you want to do kind of a reset of the actual chart, I do Option R. It might be Control R for people on Windows. Not sure that hotkey. But another thing you can do too, if you don't have the hotkey kind of figured out, you can double tap on the right hand side. So right here where the ETH price is actually shown, you double click that right side portion. So let's say like I'm zoomed in to this particular portion, and let's say I wanted to go back to normal. you can do double click on the right side, and if you wanted to display the right time as well, you can double click the bottom portion, and that should take it back to the normal kind of state. Frog Hybrid said it's Alt R. There you go, new hotkey for you guys. Alt R for those on Windows to get back to the regular layout on TradingView. Jin, so yeah, go ahead. Yeah. 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 So yeah, so you pop up TradingView kind of like this. Yeah. Yeah. So if you notice this thing up here, mine will probably look a little different from you guys. This is going to be a little, I guess, favorites tool, or I guess it's like a virtual hotkey kind of little bar. And you can kind of, yeah, you can get that by, let's say you can go, let's say trendline. I use trendline all the time. If you highlight over the right hand portion, there should be a little star that says add to favorites or add from favorites, add to favorites right here. And you should kind of get a pop-up. Like let's say you do trend line, info line I use a lot, and horizontal line. If you pop those up and you highlight those, you should get a little, I guess, cursor that kind of looks like this, where you can move around up top. So what you'd want to do there is, once you have those figured out, and let's say you have your like colors all figured out, what you'd want to do is save that chart layout. So go up to the top right portion next to the gear, right here, manage chart layouts, and you want to save that layout. And I believe you should get this portion to pop up every time that you pull up a charting system, so, or any NFT that you kind of pull up. So yeah, it's I was pushing for TradingView forever because I've been trading for a while and I haven't seen a better trading platform personally. Yeah, that's the thing, man. That's what we want to. We want to push. We want people to kind of set it up, kind of like it's their room, right? Like I say, traders are kind of all the same, right? We kind of initially do the same thing. We buy and we look to sell at a higher price, whether that's a day trader or a swing trader. I think it's kind of the same thing with tools. You can set up that your station or your room kind of however you want to. I think that helps with, I guess, the overall feel of the tool as well. Yeah, that's a great question to have, because it could be really annoying if you're going in there and putting in settings and kind of resetting that every time. Yeah, shoot it. Um, talk. I don't think there's a toggle. It just pop. Yeah, I'm not that I know of. There might be a hotkey sheet on TradingView's site that you can pop this up on. I don't have a hotkey for it. But yeah, I hear you. See if we can try to get that fixed. Yeah, it would be cool if we can kind of toggle that on and off, because sharing charts and stuff, that's not something you kind of want popped up all the time. But yeah, I don't think there's a way to toggle that, but yeah, I'll try to. Nope. Hmm. That's the plan, man. Like, I think people kind of see TA as kind of like a facade, and I mean, uh, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, as there's people who try to sell, I mean, courses for X amount a month, or sell you a book or whatever. But I mean, I think you being able to see the price action that's actually happening, and being able to see how that's actually transmitting with future price action is pretty crazy. Because I'm sure you've started to see over time that there's some just crazy correlations that just happen. And again, the more I kind of show you guys these indicators of, I guess, that follow price action itself, you're gonna be like, this is kind of crazy of like how we're seeing this and what we're seeing. Again, like this movement right here in particular is not random. It's not a random movement. It's actually very concise and very timed. And kind of same thing here, right? We're not pulling back for no reason, right? We're not, oh, just because everybody just decided to list here. That's not what's happening. We're moving here because of technical reasons. Right? We're running into a technical trend line. We're running into prior resistance has actually happened. People who say TA doesn't work, it's because they truly don't understand it. They really don't care to understand it. And it's the cool thing. We're not in the business to prove to people that this actually works. We're here to show that this data is here and you can use it if you want. Just depends if you're on the right side of it or not. Yeah, you tell me. You tell me what's happening right here. What's happening with that MACD if we have nothing actually going on? If we have two moving averages that are averaging out at nothing, what is that telling us? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's another just support that you have kind of following there as well. Would it bounce off the 100? Uh, I'm assuming you have like a. Are you saying you changed the settings on the MACD, or you have like an actual moving average on the chart? Hmm. Yes, I'm saying, did the price action bounce off the 100 moving average, or what happened there? Was there a moving average that kind of moved down here? Up here? Right now, what we're seeing right here is this portion. Where's my box tool? Right here. Right here. This is accumulation, especially because we're on a 1 minute chart. I'm showing you guys this on a 1 minute because this is probably a lot cleaner on the 1 minute. If we go into the 5 minutes, it's gonna look a lot different. But right here, if we're looking at this on for a momentum play, right? We're looking for, say we missed the dip buy, right? We're looking for a potential breakout of the bigger range that we're playing within, the two horizontal blue lines that we're looking at. Right here, we got the increase in volume, and I was saying we started to decrease right around here. But then what happened? We actually started to get volume that started to back it up. Plus, not only that, but look at what's happening with our listings at this point too. Our listings haven't reversed to the upside yet, indicating that it wants to fully retrace. So we have demand that's still pushing this through. We're testing the top trend line, which is why we're kind of struggling to kind of get through. We're testing top trend line and this overall top range. So what you need to kind of happen is you need listings to keep decreasing at this point, and you need buyers to keep coming in to keep buying this up. But I don't know. This usually when you start to see lots of listings going down over time, it's kind of what's that word? It's kind of imminent that it's going to reverse at some point. And that's where I look for the crossing of the MACD to see, okay, we're going to lose the bull momentum, right? We're going to see some type of pullback at the zone. And the key again is one of the patterns that we always talk about, right? Top range, bottom range. How far is that pullback? Is the pullback going to take us all the way back down here? If not, we're bullish and we're looking for the retest. And at that point, we're looking to cross the MACD back to the upside at that point. But again, here it's not just one crossing of the MACD. It's looking at the amount of listings, looking at the amount of delistings, looking at the volume coming in at that point. There's, again, multiple factors that we're going to be looking at this point. But listings are not stopping right now, so looks like we're bulls still in control for now, but again, we are still near a topping portion. So yeah, do as you will with that. If anybody's in that, is anybody in this by any chance? Crazy spooks. No, damn it. All good. I don't like, personally, I'm just not a fan of playing something with 0.01 range. That's just not my type of play. But again, the technicals work for it. And again, looking at this from percentage wise, it's a 100% move that we just kind of saw happen. It's, why we're seeing kind of the stop at this point. We're starting to see people starting to take profits, but we're also starting to see the listings are actually going way down. So until this can actually reverse and buyers are stopping or stop buying, I guess, buying in premium, and we'll just continue, I guess, this little chug up to the upside. Legend, I'm trying that with the imaginary ones collection, but it seems that the numbers of the chart are like 22,008. Jesus. Let's see. Imaginary ones. Let's see. That just happened to me. All I gotta do is a refresh. Alright. Imaginary ones. So this one's been out for a longer period, so I'm gonna throw this on a 24-hour. Yeah, so if you're getting numbers like 22,000 ETH or some insane numbers, you're going to want to do one of two things. Either your outliers are going to be off. So notice if I turn this off, the numbers just get insane. So usually this should be on automatically. It's kind of just an algo filter to clean up the candlestick so that we don't see those big transactions. But again, you can toggle that on or off. It's either that or you're on too small of a time frame, meaning you're going to have to go on a bigger time frame itself. So if you're on like a 4-hour and you're seeing kind of stuff like this, you're definitely going to want to zoom out onto a 24-hour time frame. What that's indicating, if you're seeing transactions like that, it's pretty much wash trading on other platforms that you're seeing, like X2Y2 or any other looks rare that offers like tokens on their end. So yeah, it's definitely one thing you want to kind of do. Crazy spook, so you don't want to see a watermelon. No, I do not want to see a watermelon. I want to see lots of accumulation and a breakout, kind of like this. Imaginary ones, you can see there was lots of accumulation, kind of this area here. And again, the longer the accumulation happens, the usually the bigger the breakout. That kind of happens as well. Just takes a little longer, but this is why I like playing stuff that has bigger range, because you have bigger ranges to play within. So like, let's say this is a 1-minute chart. We're looking at this for the same thing, right? We're looking for a 100% move to the upside. It's kind of where IO kind of ended up topping out at, right? 100% move to the upside. I guess let's look at the MACD and see how that crossing kind of worked on a bigger time frame. So where do we actually get the breakout on volume? So here we have our main boxed range, and we can see a few points where we actually start getting some volume increases. Volume pops, and these are the ones that you're going to want to take major indication into, because usually when we start seeing volume on bigger levels like a daily, this is where price action starts to react a lot bigger to those movements. So just circling and highlighting the portions where our MACD is crossing and where we're actually getting volume to kind of move with that as well. So down here and down here, you can see how this actually started to work out as well over time. These portions are where we're starting to see bulls starting to take over. And again, this is on a daily chart, so this is going to take a while to kind of set up. But same scenario. One of the main things that we're going to want to look at is the volume that's going to be coming in. And we can see one of the main reasons why this one at the end ended up actually giving us the push and the breakout. So we had a simple kind of trend line that was forming here. We had simple trend line forming, and we had, again, bulls kind of taking over, and there wasn't really a portion where they lost it, except right here, but we kind of just still held that bottom range, the overall range that we're playing within. So seeing that actually push up into this little trend, we can see kind of the topping zone for IO as well. Initial topping, right where MACD started to cross, where we started to lose our volume right here. Is actually the downfall for IO as well. But yeah, that's pretty much a breakdown, kind of how to utilize MACD portion. And right now we're kind of just accumulating right here as well. If we can start to get volume coming in to kind of break us out, notice where we're actually kind of holding a last what was resistance could now potentially be turning into support, and that's something that we definitely want to definitely look at, because prior resistance turns into support, and prior support turns into prior resistance or future resistance. Not bad. Frog Hybrid, thank you for today. No worries, man. Hope you have a good one. Legend. Great, thanks, man. It's a smaller time frame was a thing. Yes, thanks for the answers. Yeah, no worries. Anytime you're starting to see, I guess, like major chop, or you start to see, I guess, like a major, like you said, major numbers out here, yeah, you're definitely gonna want to zoom out into bigger time frames to get the algo to pick up, I guess, correct prices at that point. So yeah, you guys had some great questions there. We're pushing the hour mark now. I guess just wanted to keep it open up to anybody that had any questions. Yeah, appreciate you guys coming down here. See lots of new faces as well. So if this is your first session, welcome down. Jen, does One Alpha Chart give full access? Yes, sir. That does give full access to the view, the minting page, marketplace, staking, bidding, all that. So you should be solid. Yeah, again, if anybody has any questions, any comments, any suggestions, concerns, right now would be the place to drop those as we try to go over these daily right after the session. So again, if you guys have anything, drop that now. If not, we can jump into the giveaway. Jin, can you touch on the MBCP lists? Sure. So let's jump into the trending page. Let's do one with a few holders of some sort. So, question was, can you touch on the MBCP lists? So, going into the trending page, using Azuki as an example, because we have a double blue chip kind of pop up right next to it. Has 42.8 MBCP, next blue chip percentage, which is something that we're definitely looking at. And here, when you pop up the quick pop up or the summary, you're actually going to see notable holders on the right hand side. It's not directly linked to MBCP, but is a very solid metric to kind of use in conjunction with MBCP. So you can see pretty much the amount of wallets that are holding the amount of NFT that we're looking at. So CyberKong, 75 wallets. They hold 271 Azukis. Keep going down the line with Clonex, 784 wallets owned, 2,079. But yeah, looking at these kind of breakdowns is going to give us a indication of who's kind of holding the project itself. And ideally, the more prominent projects that you're seeing and the more that they hold, the more weight that they have putting into the actual MBCP itself. So again, the higher the percentage, ideally, the more eyes and the more blue chip projects that are potentially in that project itself. Like, I know you touched on it, but is there any more to it? No, that's pretty much it for now. On the next update, the next update is gonna be Berserk. It's insane what we're gonna be able to do with looking at holders and wallets and stuff like that. It's gonna be really, really intuitive, and these sessions are gonna get a lot more in depth because we're gonna have so many, I guess, valleys to kind of go down. But yeah, we're gonna get a lot more in depth with holders and potential people that are selling projects themselves. So definitely stay tuned for that. Which notable? What do you mean? This update, I'm not 100% on the exact updates that are coming out for the extension. I heard that there was minor updates coming out for the extension, but the one that's coming out should be more for Alpha Shark's tool itself, like the platform in general. That's actually, yeah, you can actually beta that right now. I think you're actually able to do that. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have to go K2 to see if there's a way to insert the private key to, I guess, whatever wallet that you're going to be, I guess, using that tool on. It's either out already or that will be out soon. I know it says beta, but this next next session, I'll get that to K2 to see if we can figure that out. Welsh Martin, is it possible to only filter the listings when we're looking at the main view dashboard? No, as of right now, no. I'd like to see listings targeting my range. You and me as well. Welsh, that's a great point that you have, not only by listings but by volume. That's definitely one that I want personally. Volume is one that we always utilize, and being able to filter by anything that we want, sales, floor price, volume, percent listed, unique holders, that should be an option for us. And I think we should be getting access to something like that pretty soon. So I watch listings with a certain price range or rank. Yeah, so basically like a watch list kind of thing. Yeah. Welsh, you're kind of on the right perspective that we're trying to go in as well. Um, so definitely you're gonna like the new update because I think it's kind of going in that direction that you're talking about, Welsh. Rain, thanks for the great session. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming down. Jen, last question. So you add blue chips project to the notable holders category. If so, what metrics makes project a blue chip? So you add projects to the notable holder category. So yeah, again, these aren't directly linked. Notable holders and NBCP are not directly linked. NBCP is actually broken down from, I guess, what we consider a blue chip, which would be, there's a few different metrics. It would be floor price of the actual project traded with a certain amount of volume traded on the week. So if it's 2 ETH for a 2 weeks period at 100 sales per week. So I believe that's how the NBCP is calculated. We'll get a full breakdown on the main difference between NBCP and notable holders for the next one, because we do get that question a lot as well. But for the most part, if you see notable holders, you can get pretty much a solid idea for how that's actually affecting NBCP, because most notable holders are going to end up in that NBCP anyways. Legend, sorry for another question, but for the NBCP, is there a way to understand when a certain project is taken as a blue chip itself, like basing moonbirds, when new projects have been calculated? I'm not sure if I'm understanding that question. I'm thinking what I'm getting from that is like if a blue chip project drops another project, or if lots of them get access to a particular project, like Beans would be a great example for that. Where were they? Were they in the 24-hour? Where's Beans at? Beans. Beans was a great example of that. Like they have 60% NBCP, but most of their holders we know who they are, right? They're mostly Azuki holders, and I guess that's kind of something that you're saying. If, let's say, Azuki dropped a secondary project, obviously their NBCP is going to be really high. But yeah, I think we're going to get a little more in depth on that on the next update that we're kind of talking about when we get access to more access to what these holders are actually doing. It's a great question if that was the question. Kev Mama, what's up? Been having trouble setting up my sharks and downloading the plugin. Definitely open up a ticket and we should help you out. Walsh, okay, cool. Thanks for the feedback. I think I need to get some ETH together to buy an AS token after my trial. Hey man, that's awesome. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was somewhat helpful and somewhat informative. Be definitely happy to have you down here, Welsh. Rain, I guess you asking if NBCP could be an indicator to identify a potential blue chip. If that's the question, yeah, NBCP is one of the main indicators I use for I guess degen plays turning into potential swing plays. I guess day trades turning into potential swing trades. Like Rare Pepe's was a great example of that. They went from like 0% to like pushing 7 to 10% within like 3 days. Goblin Town was a great example of that as well. They went from 0 NBCP to pushing like 15% within the same kind of amount of time, 3 days. But it's also NBCP, just because it's high doesn't mean that it's going to kind of just keep running. Like Beans is a great example. It has 60% NBCP, but floor's still sitting at 1%. If this was a normal project, like not a secondary drop from somebody, and we've seen 60% NBCP, it would be a lot higher than just 0.95 a floor price for sure. But NBCP is again a factor and an indicator that we use in conjunction kind of with every other indicator that we're looking at. Usually I'd be using that with trend lines over time. That's when I see MBCP start to really do its magic on bigger time frames in conjunction with our MACD and our volume that we're always looking at as well. And you guys had some great questions, man. Glitched, maybe you touched on this, sorry if I missed it. What's the parameters that makes them a blue chip? So the blue chip, from my understanding, is that you have to be trading above a certain floor price. It's usually 2 to 3 ETH over a certain time period, having X amount of trades. So usually it's 100 trades per week or per, I guess, that month. And I'll get an official breakdown on the difference between the blue chip and the notable holders, because that's definitely two different metrics, but we do kind of utilize them in the same way. So MBCP is AS custom indicator. All of the MBCPs are custom because there's no set metric for what's a blue chip, right? You kind of have to code that in to what's actually a blue chip. So some might be holding some might hold different parameters, like, hey, maybe they have to hold 3 ETH floor price and they have to hold 200 trades a week, and that's what they consider a blue chip. So each individual one is going to be different in the way that they calculate it, but yeah, this is kind of the way that we've seen the projects kind of work out in the platform. So yeah, great questions. We're pushing about the 1.5 hour mark, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up here, but we've got some really good questions today. So yeah, I just want to see if there are any other questions that anybody had before we started to kind of wrap this up. Yeah, shoot it. Yeah. What do I call him? Depends, I guess, what you're what you're trying to do with that. So like, are you talking something like this? I guess it depends what I'm drawing. So like right here, if I was drawing this high and this low, this would be, I would call this a range, because I have a top portion of a trend line and a bottom portion of a trend line, which is considering it to be a range. If I'm looking at, I guess, something intermediate, kind of like this, and then that would just be a trend line that I'm looking at. No, it's just, you just have ranges within ranges. Like, obviously you have this big range, but then you can kind of break that down into something bigger. You know, like we could really be playing out this kind of triangle formation. We have a high, we have initial high, lower high, lower high. But on the bottom portion, we're kind of doing the same thing. We're doing, where's it at? Low, to count this technically as a high or low, and then whatever we happen to do here. Remember, we're talking about getting the pullback, but if the pullback's not as far as the last range, we're looking to bounce this thing back up. Yeah, no worries. All right, great questions today. So I guess we're gonna jump into the giveaway. And pretty much the same thing for the giveaway. If you guys can do one tweet for something that you took away from the session today, whether you guys learned something, whether you guys didn't, whether it was informative or if it wasn't. If you guys have any suggestions on any topics you guys want to kind of go over, definitely drop that in the tweet. If you can tweet myself and Alpha Sharks in the same tweet, you guys will be put inside the raffle for the giveaway today. Winners should be announced either tonight or tomorrow when we have our next session as well. But yeah, if you guys happen to send out a tweet with myself and tagging Alpha Sharks, you guys will be entered inside that giveaway. But yeah, I really want to thank you guys for coming down today. A little longer session, but I don't mind doing it, especially for the people inside the Discord, and especially when we're having great, I guess, breakdowns and great questions that we had going today. So just have lots of tools to kind of play with, trend lines, MACD, just overall looking at indicators themselves, volume, listings, kind of putting that all together is going to help, I guess, the picture come all together. So, yeah, hope this was a little informative for you guys. And if you guys like this, again, you guys can tweet out a takeaway. Whether you guys liked it, not, something you guys suggest for the next video, we'll definitely get that in there. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, don't be afraid to tag me. My DMs are always open. Yeah, do not be afraid to reach out at all. Definitely love going over all this stuff, especially with like-minded people who are trying to get better at this. So yeah, if you guys can shoot out those tweets, and we should have another session tomorrow. We will be pushing for 7:15 p.m. Eastern. We should have an announcement coming out tonight inside the Educator sessions, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, just want to thank everybody coming out here today, because again, I know you guys don't have to be here, and I know that this is a little longer session, so really appreciate you guys coming down, and hope it was somewhat informative for y'all. But yeah, that's going to be it for this session, guys. And again, tomorrow we do have another one at 7:15 p.m. Eastern. And if you guys wanted to come down for that, be on the lookout for the Educator session chat. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow. If we don't catch tomorrow, we'll catch you guys next week.